Welcome, bienvenidos. This is Charles Kuck, your host today of Facebook Live here at Cook Baxter Immigration. Great to be with you today. You know, there's a lot to talk about. I wish, however, I was talking about how Congress was going to pass immigration reform, or how Congress was going to create a 21st century immigration system, or how Congress is going to solve the problem of undocumented immigration, or how Congress was going to create a system to recapture old DV numbers, or how Congress was going to make sure that all immigrant visa numbers are issued in a timely fashion and that none are lost, or any one of a myriad of other things that Congress could be doing right now, but which it's not. And so, you know, the reality, a lot of the problems that we face in immigration today, while adjustable by litigation, or by really good immigration lawyers like ourselves, you know, really the best solutions don't lie with us. They lie with Congress and fixing the system that is, you know, irretrievably broken, and not through something like comprehensive immigration reform. We need to rework the system, you know, and what's interesting, what brings that to bear is yesterday's census report, which showed that we had the slowest population growth since the 1930s. That's crazy. And the second lowest percentage in history, which is crazy. You can't have, it explains a lot about the malaise after the Great Recession in 2008. Because if you don't have a growing dynamic population, you simply don't have a growing dynamic economy. That's just the way it is. And if you took out immigrants from the population growth of our country over the last decade, you're basically at a standstill. And, you know, this is why immigrants are so vitally important to our system. What do we do now? What's going on? Obviously, there is a lot of pressure about to come to bear on Joe Biden and his senior leadership on immigration. Massive $50 million advertising campaign is about to start. That's a good thing. The pressure on these guys to push immigration reform. You know, Biden put forward a pretty good bill. And then he stupidly stumbled on this refugee thing. Nobody cares about the refugees. Extend the number. Lots of people support more refugees. I mean, we clearly can handle it. The border issue, that's fixed. I mean, do you see any reporters at the border today? Where's all the reporters? Where's all the story about the crisis? Gone. Because they fixed it. It's fixable. These things are gettable. We can adjust to these things. These are things that we can handle. So we'll see. There is a lot of push right now because you're not going to get 10 Republicans. I love people. We're going to get 10 Republicans to support immigration reform. You are not going to get 10 Republicans for reform. It's just not going to happen. It's just, you're smoking dope, as my dad would say. You're smoking dope. It's not going to happen. So all due respect to you guys who smoke dope. But it's quite possible, I think we're starting to see this, a push to use reconciliation, a push to use fiscal spending bills, which can now pass with the majority vote. I think there's very little uneconomic about immigration. Immigration, and I think, is basically a purely economic issue. How our economy will grow, how our society will grow, how we'll create jobs, how we'll bring in investment. All of that is immigration. And I think you can easily attach a very big fix to immigration law in a bill that requires 50 votes. Now, did the Democrats have 50 votes? That's a good question. I don't know. I think they should be more focused on worried about their own caucus and worried about the Republicans who are simply not going to vote for this. They're just not. A couple updates for you. That's kind of where you are right now. Listen to President Biden tonight. Let's see what he has to say. I'll be all ears about immigration. And you know, we're holding him accountable, just like we held Trump accountable. You know, we sued Trump's butt off. And I never got tired of winning. Not a single time not once did I go, man, I'm tired of winning. I'm not tired of winning against Joe Biden either. So we're going to keep suing him until he fixes the problems. let's talk about the problems. Obviously, we have a number of K1 lawsuits. We're moving forward with the K1 Moscow lawsuit. Now, we didn't quite get where we wanted to get, so there's still time to join, but we think it's the right thing to do. So we're going to move forward with that. We've got Manila. We're going to add some more people to Rio, but that doesn't really impact the litigation itself. Cairo's, of course, out there on the K1s. Cairo spouses are out there. We've got the Kinsley case, which is, that was a 212F case. I mean, it was about getting rid of 212F, and we did. I mean, basically, the final lawsuit caused them to cave. Then it's just a question of what are we going to do with those that are left. I mean, all the DV folks there have joined GO, and we're also going to amend GO and add more plaintiffs because let me just tell you about GO. We have talked to government counsel. We're waiting to hear back from him by Friday. I believe we will be asking for a meeting with Judge Mehta next week. And then at that point, we'll have an amended complaint filed with additional plaintiffs. And I think we're going to go right to dispositive judgments, dispositive motions, right to the end. We're going to go right to the end. That's our goal. And I think government's probably going to be on board with that because we need to fix the DV lottery issue. Keep in mind, one of the things we're doing that's unique in our lawsuits, we're asking to reserve the numbers because our clients are all over the place. Our numbers are low, the numbers are high. And so we're asking that that everybody's number be reserved. And we think it's appropriate to reserve it for everybody, all the unused numbers. It's not a class action. I don't think it has to be a class action to ask for that. But that's kind of the goal. But obviously plaintiffs are going to get first dibs on those numbers, as it always is in the DV litigation. We've got the, what else we got going on out there? The Eb5 litigation. I just tell you, I'm still waiting to hear back from government counsel. Called him a couple times. I will call him after this presentation, see if I can't get an answer on the Eb5 stuff, where he wants to go with this, or we need to move right to dispositive motions. The initial indications were they were prepared to start interviewing people. They've interviewed a few, but not everybody else. And others have been stepped forward and been interviewed before our clients, and so that have later numbers. So we're going to be fighting for that and see what goes on there. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. That was odd, but sometimes you just got to sneeze. And this heater just turned on. I don't know why either. Why is it getting hot here all of a sudden? So what else we have going on? We've got the Annunciado case is still going. Government, they're supposed to file a motion this week. We'll see if and when they do, and we'll begin fighting that and see if we can convince the judge to get the mandamus case forward and get these cases resolved. We're not abandoning you. We've got that fight going forward, and I'm going to go ahead and mute that little thing right there so I don't have to listen to that all day. All right, let's take a look at some questions we have here. Judge Mehta open an account. I'm sorry, that's kind of funny. That is kind of funny. You might want to change that. Judge, Mr. Kuck, questions from a large group of Russian vegan GO plaintiffs. Is it true the committee and plans pushed out the government deadline to file? The answer, no. Will there be a different round of plaintiffs with the first round? Well, keep in mind, in GO, they're never going to answer the complaint. We're going to go right, what we're waiting for on Friday. We're going to go right to dispositive motions. There will never be an answer in the GO litigation. We're just going to, they'll file a motion to dismiss. We'll file a motion for summary judgment, and then that's the plan. So please do not worry about additional plaintiffs. They have no impact on you. And there will be no additional plaintiffs as well. Everybody gets the priority according to their number in line. So thank you very much. And again, we've had this waiting list for a very long time. Everybody knows that. That's in GO. So this is nothing new. Also, just so you know, on my Russian-speaking GO plaintiffs, several of you have gotten your cases transferred out of Russia. So one, congratulations. Two, you should all be trying to do the same thing. I know somebody just got into Riga, Latvia today. Somebody was in, I don't want to say that loud, some other country. I know somebody got accepted to Seoul, but they can't get a visa. So again, you should be trying, because Russia presents a unique problem for DV people. There aren't enough consular officers. There will not be enough consular officers. Even if the judge says, issue all the visas, they don't have enough consular officers in Russia to do it. It just doesn't exist. Russia kicked out a bunch of Americans. We kicked out a bunch of Russians working at the consulate. So you really need to find an alternative. Okay. Let's see. My family's doing great. I'm actually feeling much better, by the way, those of you that asked. Talked about the GO plaintiffs. Travel ban. Well, this is Sella. Thank you. That's a good question. As you know, the travel ban still exists. All Biden did was exempt large groups of people. But there are still people that are subject to the travel ban. O's are still subject to the travel ban, and we're going to be dismissing the Tate case today and then starting a new O case. We need another 20 plaintiffs or so. So if you have an O visa and you can't get a visa because you can't get an NIE, join the case because this will solve that problem. Judge Meda will not transfer the case. So it's stuck with him. And obviously we'll fight anybody trying to join the case as well beyond our plaintiffs. Kinsley, Henry, I can't give you a timeline for that because the primary objective of Kinsley is one, that is the plaintiff's ban on entry, ban on getting visas lifted. The remaining problem with Kinsley plaintiffs is that of individuality, the individual claim, how long my case has been pending. And as we said from the beginning, Kinsley did not include a mandamus or my case has been pending too long claim. So, you might want to explore that either with Jeff Gregory individually. I know we've talked about it repeatedly. We actually had a brief online meeting today by email with Jesse Blessed Ayla, and we're putting some final stuff together there. So we should have an announcement on that, I think, by Friday about where we are. The GO documents, the only GO document is the complaint. And I think that's already been put up and given to all plaintiffs, redacted version. Although there's not much to redact because we only named 5 plaintiffs. All right. Any DACA hearing in the Senate? Maria, not that I'm aware of. There is an immigration hearing in the House today, I think, or tomorrow about visa delays, family delays, business delays, individual country delays. But it's not to consider a markup on a bill. I imagine Zoe Lofgren's bill is going to come back. I don't know what the number will be this year. I think it was 1066 last year, and we'll see where we'll go from there. Keep in mind, the government is scheduling DV cases. We've had, I think, 2 or 3 plaintiffs that have already been scheduled because they have low numbers and their country's open. We also know that the vast majority of countries are not open. If your country's not doing DVs, you need to find a country that is and see if they'll take your case. Again, squeaky wheel gets the grease. You need to push this apart from the litigation, which is trying to reserve numbers and push the Department of really punish the Department of State because they didn't work on these cases for 6 months. They can't now claim they don't have enough time if they intentionally have violated Meda's last order on this. So GO currently has, I think, 670 plaintiffs in the case, 670 cases. I don't know if that includes spouses and children. I don't know off the top of my head. Hi from Iran. I really like you very much. I like you very much. What do you think about the judge's decision in the GO case? My guess is we'll probably have a decision from Judge Mehta. The goal is end of June, which would give July, August, and September to do as many cases as possible, and of course monthly reports, and a follow-up for what are we going to do if people didn't get their visas. All right, so that's what I think. That's kind of our goal, spoken out loud. Harvard, we should come to immigrant visa now. London, it's processed again. Woohoo! What are the times when we cover December? I'm struggling to understand how they allocate. Yeah, Craig, I wish I could tell you. I simply don't have the capacity to monitor every embassy's processing procedures, which seem to change overnight for no reason whatsoever. One thing I do know is that they are prioritizing immigrant visas over non-immigrant visas, but within that prioritization, I simply don't know. Presumably, they would do everything in date order. That's what they're supposed to do within each category. Every category's got their own dates, of course. So would they process a later filed EB2 because priority dates are later? I don't know. They should be doing cases in date order. That is what has historically been done. We've never been in this situation before because we've never had a president that stopped legal immigration before. Penn versus Blinken is pending, and we're just going to add a couple families, a couple fiancés to that, but that doesn't really change anything as part of the process because we have a right to add plaintiffs for the first 21 days. Again, working with the government, we're waiting for government counsel to join the suit. Talked about that, still hasn't ended their appearance. Jeff will be calling on Friday to find out who it is if they haven't ended their appearance, so we can begin the negotiating process. Mariana, ciao, Mr. Kuck. Usually, what day of the month does NBC schedule for consular processing? I don't think there's any specific magic day. They have the visa bulletin basically the same time we have the visa bulletin. I don't think they get it any earlier. So, I mean, they know what May looks like. They should be scheduling for May already if the consulate's open. Beyond that, honestly, it's a very opaque or unclear process, and it has always been unclear. And when I've heard consular officers who've come over from the dark side and work as lawyers, they basically don't really have any insight into how that happens either. So, I mean, I can't give you any special information that's secret that, you know, nobody else has. It's just vague at the very best, okay? I'm sorry that it's that way, but it is. And let's see what we got here. Thank you, Brandon. Good to see you. Will not slow go. No, we will not slow the final decision down because that's separate and apart how we're going to handle the case. Okay. Why is Judge Maida taking the final answer regarding DB 2020? Because he's reserved visas. And to him, it doesn't matter whether he takes 6 months or a year. That's what I think. Plus, Judge Maida is one of the principal judges on the cases on the government takeover from January 6th. I think he's got a lot of those cases that he's doing. So I think his docket, unfortunately, is just really quite full. Eb5, Marcos, you and I, Marcos, of course, is my client. I don't think it's being deprioritized. In fact, they're supposed to prioritize immigrant visas. One of the things we learned this week because of India, the outbreak in India, is a lot of consular officials remain unvaccinated. And they just started doing it a couple of weeks ago. Frankly, I think it's a major failure of the Biden administration that they didn't prioritize consular officials and government employees that are forward-facing for vaccines. This is outrageous. I think big of the problem, of course, is COVID's terrible in Brazil, and consular officers haven't been vaccinated, so they don't want to go to work. I can't blame them for that. But what I can blame them for is not thinking of an alternative. So, Marcos, I don't have a date for you. I know you're waiting way too patiently to come to the country, and we'll keep working with you on that. I think we're going to be talking later as well in the week. Let's see. I'm looking forward to an update on EB5. Me too. As soon as I can get a hold of the government lawyer, get him to call me back. Shabnan Razai, can you please explain a little of the ongoing tip from Curtis Morrison? Shabnan, I know nothing about Curtis Morrison, his law practice, cases that he's filing. They're not relevant to what I'm doing. So no impact as far as I know. My Arab followers, I think, what is the deadline of April 30th? About 5 days. So we have reopened Go for 3 days till April 30th. That means if you want to be part of Go, you go into the waiting list, follow the requirements, make the payment, and we'll be added. That's what that means. So here, hopefully that's clear to them. I thought we made that immensely clear in our email that we sent all of them. Anything to push the KCC? Yeah, Brandon, they're not affecting a lot of emails. I get an individual lawsuit can get the KCC moving. That's about it. Unless you know somebody in Kentucky who wants to go knock on a door. I don't know of any other way to get their attention. Does the lawsuit include E-type visas? No, we've not, because E's were never part of any ban. Now, I know that Department of State says, well, we won't give you a visa unless you qualify for NIE. That's illegal. That's Kinsley kind of covers that, but we didn't really have any E's. If that's something you're interested in pursuing individually, Alexis, give me a call. We're doing these consults. You can call for a consult. We're even doing some free consults still. So welcome to call up, and we're happy to talk about that particular problem. It's a problem, okay? Will we reach our true homeland? I believe you will. All right, let's see. Anything you can do when you're in adjustment of status phase and EAD. Yeah, if you're in adjustment of status and you're waiting for your employment card, again, this is another leftover problem from the Trump administration where they basically just deprioritize employment cards. And some people are taking 6, 8, 10 months to get their cards. Again, you can sue. You have a legal right to sue if they're taking too long, which, in my opinion, longer than 90 days is too long. But beyond that, what I would do, Henry, if you're here, actually, contact your U.S. Senator's office. Ask to speak to the person in charge of constituent services and immigration. They probably have a form you can fill out, and I have found them to be very helpful on things like this. Can I do a medical in one country, give in another? Generally not. Generally, you have to do the medical at the consulate you're interviewing unless you have permission otherwise. York, I know that Joburg is interviewing people because they've interviewed some of our Ks, they've interviewed other visa holders, they interviewed Os for us. So I know they've been open, but again, I don't track 185, 205 different consulates. I don't have the capacity to do that. So I really don't know how to answer your question. Konduru, good to see you again. In regards to my current employee, H-1B is approved for 3 years, starting from October 1. All right, H-1B transfer, future employer, initiated transfer. Okay, so here's the deal. You cannot transfer to another employer unless you have worked for the original current employer. So I'm sorry that your lawyer didn't tell you that, but you must get approved for your initial H-1B, work at least through a paycheck from October 1, and then you could transfer to a different employer. That's kind of how that works. Individual claims of the U visa, we actually won that. Government tried to dismiss it. We won it. We're now fighting over the issuance of the work permit. I'd encourage you to contact my partner, Danielle Claffey. She is the lead on that, and I think she's good. Tommy, good to see you, by the way. You're looking quite good. Grace, good to hear from you. I just received an email from KC saying my case number is not DV. Do you think it's because I wrote the first essay in the year? I think you have to write the number exactly as it appears on the letter you initially got. And obviously, if you're DV, you're DV. So write back to them. Eunice, you can be certain they won't delay the case because I told you so. There you go. That's good. Let's see. Welcome, Jonathan. I love doing live streams. They're kind of fun, actually. Can South Africa submit our cases to add to the suit? Opening up EW3. If that's essential worker, third preference category. You may be better off, Alexis, in a direct mandamus rather than, because again, Blinken was a general what's called a declaratory judgment action, as we noted, not a mandamus action, not to force them to issue individual visas, but to force them to end the practice of not issuing visas because of the bans, which of course they backed down from. Cape Town, I love Cape Town. It is a beautiful, beautiful city. Huge back for interviews, giving LMB or for October, charge for expedite advice to do today. Ahmed, you could try a different country. That's one option that you could do. Rafiq Saleh, I got notification a new plane will be added, sir. I'm not able to proceed to be under mandamus. Again, if you want to file an individual mandamus, you can always do that. Julian Petronia, my fiance's mother is going to be a co-sponsor of K1. She was retired. Oh, that's not a problem. Don't worry about that. That won't be a problem. Let's see. So one glue surface with an interview being all turns wash your hands and try. Yeah, I don't know what they're talking about. So here, you give the best insults. Glue sniffer. I haven't heard that in a long time. Plaintiff in Milligan, Vibea lost at London. We've been in this for a month with no movement. The judge's 6 impact us. Lydia, I don't know. I wasn't aware there's a meeting with the judge on the 6th. I thought there was a report on the 6th. So I'm going to defer that to Jeff. I'm going to have you ask Jeff tomorrow on his first book live because he's lead counsel on that. A lot of people in London have gotten appointments. In fact, if you bear with me a second, let me just check the the database here, which just takes me a second. Excuse me, to get into, and let's see. Let's see if I can see the Milligan. You didn't say what round you are. Milligan round 2. Let me see if I can find London here. London looks like almost everybody has visas. They're all done. So round 2, looks like round 2 is basically done. Round 3, let me take a London there. I wrote that wrong. Oops. Bear with me here. Cases, a lot of transfers still at NBC. A lot of interviews. The interviews going out to July now. So Lydia, I'm gonna ask you to talk to Jeff tomorrow about that because there appears the way this works in our database, everybody puts an update and their updates put in sequentially. Let's see if I can find you here, Lydia. Wrong, Lydia. There you go. So the last update transferred. I would suspect you'll be hearing pretty quickly because I'm looking at other updates of people that transferred shortly before yours that appear to be getting interview dates. That's my judgment based upon what we know from this. So hopefully that answers your question. Cuando gane el comunismo, abre TPS para el Perú. Enrique, ojalá que no gane el comunismo, hermano. Eso sería triste por mi Perú. Update sheet for updates about the census case. I think we sent an update yesterday, Uter, or the day before. I know an email went out. How many are left in London? That actually would require. See, Lydia, I went to law school, not math school. And the way this is set up is everybody's got several different updates. And I can't tell you how many are still waiting. I don't have that capability while I'm live. But if you email Greg, he's the math whiz. He probably knows. So, yeah, James, I'm not surprised. Remember, they just sued them individually, too. So I suspect they might be laying low for a second. Currently studying in the U.S. on F1 that's expired. You recommend sending for Eb5 interview back home, wait for invitation. I would wait till you have the interview, Jenny, set before I would go. If you're still studying, you're still in school, I wouldn't necessarily go back. Let's see. Opinion on Gomez. My opinion hasn't changed. We're going to win Gomez. And the question is two questions. Will he certify the class of people that need visas reissued? I believe he will because it's just, it's appropriate, and it costs them nothing. All right. So I think he should do that. 2, will he increase the numbers? Well, I don't know. I believe obviously he should. I think we have a great justification for it, but I don't know. That's my Gomez prediction. All right, let's see. Vulcan, good to see you. If you're taking a break from work watching me, you must have a boring job. Honey, if we win the goes to the next. Well, once the judge issues an order, remember everybody's current. So, but a lot of people are still at the KCC. So we will then begin working with government counsel to get our plaintiffs scheduled as quickly as possible. So if you have not finished document processing at the KCC, again, even though they don't respond, you should be pushing them. All right, you should be pushing them. Let's see. Mr. Oppenheim said delay in processing views because of Corona. No, we know it's not. Come on, I don't need to reiterate my arguments on that. We could do an lawsuit, Alexis, but if you're talking about Eb5, an employment-based lawsuit, we can certainly do that, but it's probably stronger on its own, because the problem with mandamus actions is that the judge looks at how long your case has been pending compared to the norm. And if you got people who just got visas, the others that have been at the NVC, others the consulate, it weakens your case. So it's easier to do that on an individual, okay? Let's see. The last sentence of the redacted Milligan report says defendants will provide updated information for the defense response. Plays them in a complaint. It's a layman version of the defendants will provide updated information and support the defense response to amended complaint. Michael, I'm not even sure a lawyer knows what that means. Defendants, that's their language. It's not our language, because it's both of us submit language for the report and we send it to the judge. It seems to indicate that, here's what I think it means. I'm going to get my brain around this. They answered our amended complaint, or are due an answer to the complaint, and they are missing what we call the administrative record data. They're missing data. So I believe that means they will produce data to support their claims in response to our amended complaint. I think that's what that means. All right. Happy birthday, Natasha. I don't have any birthday news for you, but happy birthday. Can you help me with an advanced parole? Of course. Advanced parole under DACA is taking about 3 months right now. Folks that we applied for in late January have gotten theirs, and some even in February. So about 3 months, unless you have an emergency. Any guess about TPS? For whom? TPS is country specific. Currently in Ankara, and not provide services during Eurovan, no accept. Magar, keep looking for consulates. That's all I can tell you to do. No update on Brazil, Rio. Let's see. Hey, just FYI, so I met with 3 Congress members last week, my video, talking about recapturing not only the DV 2020 numbers that Judge Mehta doesn't reserve, but also basically the Muslim ban numbers. And I gave them statutory language that they can use to draft a bill. I'm going to follow up in a week or so, see if they're interested in introducing that as part of legislation. So yeah, we're working on it. We're working on it. Let's see, I jumped too far ahead there. Let's see. Thank you, everybody, for listening today. If you already have an interview in 2021, please can I would email the consulate. Tell them you're a Kinsley plaintiff. Tell them that you were only denied before because of NIE. Now that cannot be a basis for denial. Can they without an interview issue the visa? That's what I would do. Sure, set amount of K1s. No, K1s have no limit. There's no limit. It's many. Love is free, Charlotte. Love is free. Or Louisa. I don't know if Louisa is the last name or Charlotte. You have 2 last names, 2 first names. Large is good. The judge needs to know. A lot of people be impacted by his decision. They filed a lawsuit on DACA today, getting their best proof of retirement because they delayed Clasira. Well, no, there is no DACA recipient who has waited a year for their advanced parole because they didn't start issuing advanced paroles again until December because of the lawsuit. So I don't know. I mean, frankly, if they don't have one from December, their lawyer should be calling. I mean, great that they filed a lawsuit, but I think they're going to lose that lawsuit. When one receives a second approval notice, does he need to come and tell them about their appointment date or just tell me they didn't know it? Well, first of all, the appointment technically comes, even though it's on the KCC or NVC, I don't know what visa you're talking about. The embassy knows. So there's no need to contact the consulate if they've given you an appointment notice, appointment date. We appreciate everything you do here. Lily said she would send out a form for us to add updates for kids like play us. Poor lady gets some emails from WWE. John, I don't know. Lily works with Greg in Memphis, so I don't get to see her every day. But don't worry about knitting Lily. She can handle it. We know that 1052 has been canceled. Well, no, actually, it's not canceled. I'm talking about 1053. It's still there, okay? It's just that there's exemptions. That's the problem, Martha, is that it's still there. Greg, I would email Lydia. Email Lily. Greg's inundated. I mean, it's only so many hours in the day. Email Lily. That's just lily@impactlitigation.com. She'll be out there. And Ramadan Mubarak to all my friends that are still fasting this month. I know how Ramadan is difficult when it's warm out and so much better when the days are shorter. But Ramadan Mubarak, I hope you're having a wonderful Ramadan. Let's see. Is it possible to compromise with the government? We're willing to compromise with the government. The problem, Magar, is the government doesn't compromise. We already said, look, why don't you do X, Y, Z? And they're like, no. So, Colin, I don't think London is back to normal. I think they're more open, but I don't think they're back to normal. Eunice, the window is short because we're filing a motion next week for summary judgment. That's why it's short. We're moving to finish the case quickly. That's why we're going to end it. Boom. So we're just opening this window for a short period of time. What is the goal? The goal is to get the judge to agree to hear the case quickly. It's a good goal. Let's see. Moscow is a black hole. And again, that's a staffing problem. Hopefully the litigation will solve it. But not, the thing is, there might be a couple hundred diplomats, but there's only X number of consular officers. Not every diplomat issues visas. In fact, only a small portion of them do. Remember, we probably have like 100 spies there. What, are you kidding me? I mean, half of them are probably CIA agents. They don't issue visas. Let's see. We will not be, Rafiq, as far as I know, we're not going to be doing a separate lawsuit beyond what we already have open right now. Hopefully KCC is getting these things done. Hopefully. I don't know. Manila is not really, I mean, as every one of our Manila plaintiffs know, short of this very small subsection of people with 3 heads and 8 dogs, I mean, I don't know what other criteria they're using, but it's not going to be tough. Erika, doxing loan, usually know if you can do your work is about to expire, you don't receive. Yes, you can call that 1-800 number. Tell them that your DACA EAD is expiring and you're going to lose your job. And I find that actually, I mean, best time to call is in the evening, like at 6 or 7 o'clock. And you're generally going to get asked to speak to a secondary officer, a secondary USCIS officer. People answer the phone aren't immigration officers. They're just people answer the phone. They're contractors, and say, "Look," and you'll get somebody. I think that will shake it loose. Okay. Some Milligan places reach the embassy. Give dates. keep emailing, but please update the database. Go in line and update that. Because Jeff, we meet regularly. Government counsel in the Milligan case is exceptional. Same guy in the Go case, by the way. Exceptional government counsel. Been very, very interactive with us. So I would ask you to update that so that Jeff knows, okay? Okay. Let's see. Norbeck, if your DV visa expired, you're one of the class of people that we're trying to get issued visas for. So hopefully we win. Okay. There will be no decision before mid-June, so don't sweat anything before then. It really bothers me, Lydia, that they're not doing them in order. I mean, that just really, of course, I mean, keep in mind, order might mean something different to them. Maybe their cases were filed earlier with immigration. Maybe they have an earlier date, even though you got to the embassy first. That's possible. I mean, I'm not justifying it. I'm just saying I don't know what they're using. Have you heard about green card employment base? Sí, Natalia. Lo he hecho por 32 años. Si quiere información, llame por una cita. Remember, you can call for an appointment. Llama por una cita, la consulta gratuita. We're here to help. We answer these questions, okay? We already talked about Charlie, talked about that, a lot of duplicate questions. Strong points about Go. We already won a virtually identical case in front of the same judge. It's about as strong as you can get. I don't know how they get any stronger. After applying for 90, how long does the consul take to respond? That is very consular specific. Some respond right away. Others take quite a while, a few weeks. So it's very much. What about U.S. Embassy Tashkent? I think they took somebody's case recently from Russia.
Thank you.
Might want to ask. Otra vez, los niños venezolanos menores de 4 años cuando aún no han podido tener un pasaporte, ¿cómo pueden ser aceptados para obtener un waiver? Para visa es posible. Nicolette confirmó que sí, pero no explicó cómo o de qué manera proceder. No sé quién es Nicolette. Mira, Marileth, yo no soy involucrado en los procesos con el KCC, pero yo sé que si es un pasaporte es imposible de obtener por ley del país. Eso es, dígalo al KCC y seguirán procesando el caso por ellos. Glue sniffers deserve what they get. So here you spend too much time in Minnesota. You betcha. You probably put ketchup on everything too. Alexis, my husband's in the U.S. for the application for some waiting interviews. The whole way in terms of explaining. If your husband's here, here's what I recommend. Have him call his senator, whatever state he's living in, all right? Have him call senator and say, my wife is still stuck abroad. Can you get on the, and they may be able to shake the consul to get you an interview. That's a good approach. Okay. How long to get an interview in Juarez, Mariela? Si estás empezando hoy día, desde el principio, probablemente 4 años. Antes de COVID era 2 y no han hecho nada por 1 año. Es horrible. Let's see. Charlotte, a K1 mandamus in London is possible. Greg and I and Jeff are talking this evening. So stay tuned to the mass litigation page and you may see something. Marde, second time you asked this question. I love TPS. For what country you're talking, okay? Abu Dhabi has huge backlog, only 400, even though it's one of the most controlled COVID can that help? I guess. I mean, I don't even know what I'm supposed to comment there. Let's see. Go up here. High case numbers. My prediction for high case numbers rules in Go plaintiff's favor. Keep in mind, everybody's current. And we have asked them how they're going to do the Gomez plaintiffs, and they refuse to respond. They're pretending like it's not going to happen, like it's mythical. So I answer the question is, I don't know. mean, I would presume they would go in case order, but they didn't do that in Gomez, so they might not do it here. I mean, obviously, we want our plaintiffs to go first. Está aceptando aplicación de advance parole. Si tiene DACA, absolutamente. Llámanos y te ayudamos. Okay. Yes, our case is strong because think about it. They didn't interview anybody for 6 months, so they used PP 1104 to not issue visas, even though they knew that was against what Judge Mehta would have wanted to do. So I think our case is very strong. Let's see. Forecast, Sharon, I'm just going to have to ask you to be patient, okay? We have till June 30th to get you here, and we're doing everything possible. All right, the government doesn't have to respond to the complaint for another 4 weeks, all right? So we're trying to get all this done so the government never has to respond to the complaint. Filing a lawsuit is not magic, okay? But I think we're going to get a good answer here. Let's see. Henry Clement, did you say earlier live shows that the government has 30 days to respond in relation to Kinsley? They have 60 days to respond to a complaint, Henry. 60 days to respond to a complaint. Saludos, Marilu. Gusto en verle otra vez. Marlia, lo siento, estaba leyéndola demasiado rápido. Call the senator back to jailbird officer who's now self-replying. Go to a different senator. There's 2 of them. Go to your congressman. And other than that, the only thing is email me and we can sue them. Now, our last question today is from Johan Sam. Would you recommend the answer under O1 visa in New York? Yeah, I would. If you're in New York on an O1 visa, you should adjust your status. If you need a lawyer in New York to help you with that, if your own lawyer doesn't know the local office well enough, you should call Cyrus Mehta. Cyrus Mehta is the best immigration lawyer in New York and extraordinary. I think he'd be great on this case. Well, everybody, thank you for a wonderful Facebook Live today. It has been great to hear from you. I'll be back on Monday night with my friends Jeff, Greg, and Aaron, and hopefully some of our friends at our firms to talk about their lawsuits that they're handling. Of course, I'll be back next Wednesday here. If you're listening to this on the podcast, thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll be back next week with another episode of that podcast, which is the Immigration Hour. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.